What's up, Windwalkers, and welcome to my heroic Mugsy guide. Now, originally I was going to do each boss in order, but it occurred to me that a lot of guilds are reaching Mugsy and he's a little bit of a tough cookie. So I wanted to get this out first to help give you the edge on the fight, because let's be frank, the damage check can be tight. For this takedown, this was the gear setup I was running. You'll notice I have a ton of mastery to complement the conduit hero talent, and I'm also running a two-hander. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean a two-hander is a better weapon for this boss, as it's predominantly a single target boss fight. However, it was my highest item level weapon at the time. Now, I decided to put damage done at the start of the fight for a change, and this is predominantly because it funnels in to what I'll be talking about with talent options, but it also funnels into the commentary that I'll be doing during the fight. Right off the bat, we can see that Spinning Crane Kick did a heck of a lot of my overall damage, and so did Crackling Jade Lightning, to be honest, which I only pressed 8 times, so just bear that in mind. Finally, talent-wise, it's pretty cut and dry for this fight. I highly recommend putting a point into Last Emperor's Capacitor, as it outputs a ton of boss damage. The final decision I would make would be based on what weapons you're running. As I'm running a two-hander, I opt for Fury of Zwan, but with one-handers, I'd recommend Dual Threat, which is what I ran on my ult. Alright, let's get into the fight then, shall we? So it's worth mentioning on pull that I'm going to Tiger's Lust myself and pop Touch of Karma. This is because the boss does a big AoE damage on pull, and he also does a bit of a knockback, so getting to the boss is extremely crucial. So I start with my single target opener, straight into my Strike of the Windlord Heart window. The moment I have 5 seconds left on my Gale Force, that's when I pop Celestial Conduit, and I activate it again at the end to guarantee I get Unity within. Now these jails are going to spawn, and I'm always assigned to the left one, so I make sure that I'm absolutely pummeling this ad. Now there's some tech that you can actually do on these things that's really important and you should do. Touch of Death is what you want to be doing on these ads just as they're about to die, and you can do this for every single jail spawn. This means you're going to get a constant 5% 30-second damage buff from that. That means more boss damage. Another cool thing that you can do with these jails is you can actually put a Transcendence outside of them, so the moment you've Touch of Death, you can Transcendence back out and start hitting the boss. I didn't on this pull, and that's because I made a little mistake in another pull that kind of put me off doing it, but I would do it in future pulls. It's also worth noting that you never want to stand in between a player and the ice arrow on the floor. If you get the ice arrow yourself, you want to try hide behind a rock like you can see the player doing in the top left, or behind a mine, depending on what phase you're on. So, now that we've finished with the jail and the ice mechanics, we're about to go into the second half of the room. All players need to move over at the same time. It's important to dodge these lightning circles. They don't do much damage, but they stun you, and this can be really awkward for a Windwalker, as a lot of our abilities are channels. Now I'm fully focusing on the boss right now and cleaving off the ad. All the while, I'm dodging these electric circles. Now, in a couple of seconds, the mine mechanic's going to come in, and the mine mechanic's quite an interesting one. You got to make sure that you do not stand on a mine spawn. Your tanks are going to be the ones that pop these. Once they're popped, they're going to spawn 2 circles that need to be soaked. Now we had a lot of ranged, so they did most of the soaking, so I'm able to focus more on the boss, because it is a tight DPS check and I need to do as much damage as possible. However, that doesn't mean to neglect the soak. I was always aware of what was being soaked and where and if I needed to at any given time. So you might have also noticed I held Strike of the Windlord for quite a while there, as well as Fist of Fury, and that's to guarantee I can get it in this first window right now. So I basically do my entire opener again. Defensives are very important for this fight. Diffuse magic I try to use for every single group soak like this, because it's a lot of fire damage, which is magic, to nullify it. As well as that, I want to Fortifying Brew for every single jail, but you'll see that coming up. With cooldowns, it's really important on this boss that you use them every 1 minute 30 seconds. This allows you to get your cooldowns off every single time on the boss before you hit that enrage and get as much damage out as possible. There's no need to save damage at any point on this fight. Pop your cooldowns the moment you can. So, we're going to get the jail again here. So what I didn't do on this fight is hold Fortifying Brew, and I should have. On my 639 ult when I did this boss, you take a huge amount of damage when these jails spawn and you're inside of one, so having a defensive is crucial. I didn't take as much damage because my character's fairly geared, but on my 639 ult, this absolutely chunks. You can have Fortifying Brew up for every single one of these, and I highly suggest that you save it for this jail. You probably won't need it any other time in the fight. So Diffuse Magic for the big group soaks, Fortifying Brew for the jails, and Karma, can be used when you need it. So you can see once again, I Touch of Death the ad as I'm about to go out to Mugsy, and then I'm going to hit him with a full 20 stat Crackling Jade Lightning, and we're about to go into our cooldowns again. So I Fist of Fury a little bit early here, but that's because I know that I will be able to get as much value out of it. Generally, I would have held here, but in my mind, I think it was worth it because I still get the Fist of Fury off in my big windows because I manage Blackout Kick pretty well. So you got to make sure that you dodge these electric circles. You'll find out why in a little bit. Going back to what I said earlier, because we channel, if you're inside one of these and get stunned, you're going to lose a lot of damage. So once again, cryoing the boss. It's super important you get as much boss damage as possible and try to cleave the edge. It is a super damage check at this point in the game. So I'm at 20 stacks here and we're moving the boss, so I don't channel my Crackling Jade Lightning until I get to the other side. So I lose a few stacks here, but it's worth it. Otherwise, I'll be trapped on the other side amongst tons of bombs and things will just go a little bit wrong. So I give up a few stacks here, but in my mind it's worth it. So right here, I actually make a mistake and use Fist of Fury before Strike of the Windlord. However, I don't instantly press Strike of the Windlord afterwards. Now, I know I'm only going to get one more Strike of the Windlord before Zwan and Celestial Conduit anyway. So it's better for me to use that one Strike of the Windlord when I next the Fist of Fury's up, which happens to be in the Bloodlust anyway. The last thing I want to be doing is trying to desync these abilities, so although I made a mistake, I do my best to rectify it by guaranteeing that I get a Fist of Fury in the next heart window. Now you might be thinking, this guy hasn't pressed his second Stormwolf and Fire us all this fight. That's because we haven't Bloodlusted. I'm saving it for the Bloodlust. I want as much value from Stormwolf as Fire as possible. So the only time I'm going to press my second charge is during Bloodlust, which is right now. Now you'll see that our 1 minute 30 cooldowns don't quite line up with Hero. That's absolutely fine. You're going to get it at the very end, but it's better to not hold your previous one because you need as many of these windows as possible. So, moving around the boss, and you'll see this is what I mean by Crackling Jade Lightning is a little bit sketchy in channeling. I channel it here, but I'm inside of a circle, so I have to cancel at the last second, otherwise I'd get stunned anyway, so it's safer to do it that way. We're still in Bloodlust, and I pop my cooldowns again, my big 1 minute 30s, so I don't lose too much value, and I also got value from using Stormwolf and Fire earlier on. This is where the fight gets really hectic. All the mechanics are going to happen at the same time here, so you have to be really aware that you're not going to stand on a bomb spawn. The bombs start coming in, electric's coming in, the jails are about to come in, everything's going to get crazy. I shouldn't have used Diffused Magic here. I should have saved it for the group soak coming up. I'm not too sure why I pressed it here. I think I felt like there was a lot of damage coming in, but honestly a mistake on my end. And now I'm about to get the jail mechanic on myself. So you need to get to your position as fast as possible. Forget boss damage for a second, make sure you get this right. This is where we found we wipe the most on all of our runs. So once again, Touch of Death on the ad, and that way I do it at the last second so I can get as much on the boss as possible. Unfortunately, we got knocked back, so the group soak was a bit scuffed, but we all kind of survived it. So now, boss is pretty low, but he's getting close to his Enraged Timer. If he gets to Enraged Timer, you all die. It is GG well played. So I'm about to hit my big cooldowns again. Got to dodge the frontal of the boss as well, and things are getting really hectic. Tons of mines are about to spawn here, and now it's a race against time. So what do? I pop my major cooldowns. And this is what I mean when I say you need to be popping your major cooldowns at 1 minute 30 in the fight. If I delay at all, I won't get this final burst window, and it all matters. You'll see as we get to the very end of this fight how close it is when players start to die and the Enrage is about to come in. If I held my cooldowns at all at any point, we probably would have wiped on this and had to do it again. So, all the mines are coming in, and it's a race to the finish line. You've got to dodge all of these, some get blown up, and you can see players instantly drop because people got hit. It is a nightmare. Luckily, I have a Guardian Angel healer on my side who saved my life. Otherwise, it's a pretty hectic fight only at the end. During the start, it's really chill. It only ramps up when everything starts to overlap. But generally speaking, that's how I'd play the fight. I'd play it the same, except maybe next time I'd make sure to guarantee that I use my defensives at the correct time. So yeah. That's Heroic Mugsy. You can see that I did a ton of damage and a lot of it was boss prio, and it was really important. We were super close to the Enrage, and if I didn't put as much damage into the boss as possible, we might have wiped and had to do the boss again. This might change as the tier goes on and everybody gets more item level right, but at the moment, making sure that you get as much damage into the boss as possible, or your Crackling Jade Lightnings, or your Burst Windows, it's majorly important. Anyway, I've been Windwalker POV. I hope this guide helped you, and I'll catch you in the next one.